everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Keyed Up. I am Jennifer alongside my co-host Justin, and we are so excited to get back with you and talk about all kinds of fun things that are happening in and around our Kansas City real estate market, some things that are happening on the national level. So we're going to dive into those a little bit. We're also going to talk about some exciting, fun events that are coming up later this month in and around Kansas City. We have some fun games this episode.
More fun games for you.
I know. So this month we are going to be doing a little real estate rapid fire.
Always interesting.
I know. Along with some Kansas versus Missouri House Edition.
Some Border War House Edition.
War House Edition. So kind of an interesting thing there as far as comparing like-kind homes on each side of the state line and what the difference in price looks like. So that's going to be pretty, I was intrigued when I saw some of that come across. And then, so we've got some fun, some fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we do. And this week we're a little keyed up about one big event that's going on. We're in February. It's, early February. The Super Bowl is this weekend.
That's right.
So it's a couple days away and we've got some fun stuff to talk about the Super Bowl.
We are super keyed up about the Super Bowl. So Patriots versus Seahawks in Super Bowl 60, which is going to be in San Francisco this year. So will the Patriots bring home Super Bowl win number 7, or will the Seahawks bring home their second Lombardi trophy? We're going to kind of give you our predictions. I'm going to kick things off.
Yes, you are.
I'm going to dig into, I know, right? So I may have to look at my cue card a little bit for this, but
get your notes.
So why I love the Seahawks. Right. I am team Seattle Seahawk all the way. And not just because I know, and you may be thinking, one of my all-time favorite Kansas State players. He's not on the team anymore, but he was there for multiple seasons. Mr. Tyler Lockett, fan favorite, little baby Lockett, love him to pieces. So that is part of my love for the Seahawks, even though again, he's not there anymore. But the 12s are ride or die, man. They are. I mean, the culture is bigger than any one season in Seattle. They are ride or die up there for their team. And clearly, I feel like the Seahawks are in their next chapter moment.
They are. I would say that's fair. But I think the Patriots are too, actually. They're kind of in their next chapter because they have the dynasty with Brady and
don't take away my flair here.
Chapter,
not to mention those uniforms are slapping.
They are. The uniforms win very much so on the Seahawks.
So slapping those uniforms.
All right, there it is. All right, uniforms are slapping.
Uniforms are slapping. I mean, and that's important. For me, right? Aesthetically, I'm going to. There's a lot of times when I fill out you may not know this. When I fill out my basketball bracket, my NCAA tournament bracket, a lot of times, if I don't know the team, I will go by mascot or uniforms, colors.
You probably have better luck than people who think they know what they're talking about by doing that.
Maybe. Right. So my prediction for the Super Bowl is, of course, Seahawks, if we haven't figured that out, 28-24.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be a close game.
I like it.
I think that the Seahawks are going to rally late and they are going to bring home the Lombardi trophy this year.
That's so a late rally. You think
I think it's going to be a late rally. Okay. I think it's going to be a late rally. Right. And they're going to score that, that fourth touchdown, to secure the win. So that is my pick, my prediction. Seahawks all the way, baby.
Seahawks all the way. All right.
Yes.
I like it. So we got hers down and I got to get a little official here to give my very professional.
I missed the memo on this.
Well, I've got my son's headgear here for when he plays PlayStation. So I robbed him to give you my most professional take, my analytics about this game. So you're like you said, this is Super Bowl rematch. This is number 2. And although these teams are very different in structure from the first time that they played, it holds in their franchise bases still kind of either a sweet spot for New England that won the last one, or Seattle a little bit of a bitter spot, right? So the last time they played, it came down to a last second play, interception on the goal line. New England won. There's some controversy on some of the calls that were made at the end of that game too. So this is kind of revitalizing, the spark between these two fan bases. And so we got East Coast versus West Coast, which is always a fun thing as well. So we'll get into it here. So the big picture, these teams got here on their defenses. Neither one of these offenses are big juggernaut offenses. Now, Drake May early in the season had kind of MVP talks, and he had a strong statistical season, right? Drake May, second-year quarterback.
No idea.
North Carolina. So I'm just giving you a little knowledge too while this is happening, hitting you with some game time knowledge, so you know what to look for. Right. So he's year number 2. But again, he's not the guy who's got the big deep threat arm. He's not the big threat, but he's captain consistent. Like, he's a cool dude. He knows what he's doing when the time comes.
So consistent
until the playoffs, because he's had a not so great playoff stretch, turnovers and kind of bad decisions and things. So that kind of leaves me questioning whether New England's going to actually pull it off, because I don't know that he can be counted on. In retrospect, or in converse to that, Darnold has been Mr. Dependable. That guy has been on fire. And this is not new to him either. This is his second year in a row. This is actually his first year with Seattle. Did you know that? His first year with Seattle. He was with the Vikings last year.
Oh, okay.
He got the Vikings to pretty far in the playoffs too.
Yes.
And then they drafted a quarterback and said, we want the new guy. Goodbye, old guy. This is Sam Darnold's 5th team. So he's been a kind of a career journeyman, but now he's showing he can get it done. So I think that with the Seattle having the 12th man, more aggressive defense, the playmaking ability, the big playmaking, the game-changing playmaking ability, I think Seattle's going to get it done. I think New England's a great team. I love Coach Vrabel, but the Chiefs fan in me, who knows that we're working on building an iconic franchise, dynasty, I can't let myself root for the Patriots to get another Super Bowl title. Right.
Right.
Chiefs are trying to catch them. You said they're going for number 7.
Right.
I don't want them to have any more success. Vrabel's cool. I like Drake May. It's a cool story. This is Vrabel's first year actually with the team. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. Cause he was with the Titans last year.
Yes.
They fired him and he said, that's okay. I'll go to the Super Bowl with the next team. So there's some cool storylines, but I think ultimately the Super Bowl is lacking a little bit of that zest, a little bit of that fire that other Super Bowls have. There's no real big storylines. So I think that's what nationally, especially here in Kansas City in the Midwest, we're not from the East Coast. We're not from the West Coast. We're kind of like in the middle, just don't really care that much, but cool uniforms, right? 12th man. We're used to loud defenses here in Kansas City, so we appreciate that. But and also, I think it's worth noting is that San Francisco is not that far from Seattle, right? So the Seattle fans will be able to travel down and make that presence known, that 12th man presence known, where I don't really expect that same level of intensity from a New England. Because
you don't think Patriot fans travel well?
I don't think they travel that far well. They travel on the East Coast, I think, fairly well, up and down it. But to get all the way across the country and show up in comparison to Seattle, I don't see it happening.
Okay.
So my score is 27-21.
Ooh.
Seattle.
All right. Look at us go.
Yes.
Both picking the Seahawks.
I think there's going to be a field goal or two around. I think the defenses will force off a couple field goals though. So I won't go as confidently as saying there won't be a couple field goals around the way.
Yes.
So I think that's my prediction though. Go Seahawks.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some of our market stats this month. Locally, the Kansas City housing market is really doing pretty well. Yeah. I would say that we are steady, not stagnant, and definitely more intentional right now with buyers and sellers that are in the market right now. So buyers are more selective, but very active. Yeah. We're seeing that in the number of closings, which is up over where it was at the same time in 2025. Right. So that's good news for the housing market all around. Inventory is also up over last year, which means that buyers have choice. They have options. They don't have to be rushed into anything necessarily. Right. And so that's been a really good thing, along with appreciation continues to rise as well. So home values, the home sales prices are up almost 3% over 2025, which is wonderful to see as well. And so the average sales price in Kansas City right now is right around that $375,000 mark, which is pretty good, I feel like, overall. So that's been nice. Homes that are priced correctly and that are well presented are moving quickly. And so that's kind of the big difference. People that are thinking they're sellers that are wanting to test the market and kind of see how things go are maybe missing that mark a little bit because they're not positioning themselves as well as they could be in the market. And then, of course, while inventory is improving, location is everything. So those most desirable locations, good schools, those are selling quickly and sometimes even with multiple offers right now. So some of those less desirable neighborhoods, I always say that, those last neighborhoods to sell sometimes are seeing some, slower paced activity. They're still moving. It's just taking them a little bit longer than those homes that are in those highly desired areas with the good schools, with the good neighborhoods, parks, so many different amenities. Those are moving still pretty quickly and pretty competitively. So definitely still a great time to buy or sell here in Kansas City. And we're super excited for what the spring market brings. Mortgage applications continue to be the highest that they've been in years. So people are putting their plan in place. And I really expect that our spring here in Kansas City is going to be very strong. And I'm really looking forward to that. So,
we just rolled over from January to February, right? So we're not quite yet at that fever pitch that the spring market usually yields, but you can start to get echoes of it. Starting to kind of, here we go, some multiple offers and that kind of stuff. And to your point, I think people, the sellers that are trying to see if they can get that high number, they're seeing that slowdown because buyers they have time right now to crunch the numbers. When the fever pitch happens, maybe there's some of that speed catches up and they don't maybe crunch the numbers as much. So they just go in and compete, right? They go in competition mode. Right now, they're still much in very analytical mode, which is good. That's how we should be, right? But I think that's where we see the sellers that are trying to get a little, that extra 10 grand, that's what's slowing them down a little bit.
And have you seen the weather forecast for February?
Looks awesome.
It is going to be stellar. It is going to be so warm for February. We're going to see, I think, I don't know if it's this weekend. I saw something close to 70 in our forecast coming up. So that is going to bring a lot of buyers out. We're kind of out of that. We have thawed from that frigid cold that we had for a couple of weeks. Here in Kansas City. Will. And then it's going to be in March though.
False winter,
It's going to be in March, but it is February looks amazing, which is going to bring people out. They're going to be coming to open houses. They're going to be getting excited about shopping for homes. And I really think February is going to be a solid month and hopefully kind of kickstart the excitement of a spring housing market.
I think it's going to be an exciting time. And we're starting to see those like real little launch pads happening right now. So it's exciting. I think March through June will be a fun time for us because we get to help more people because they're all kind of coming out of the woodworks at that point in time. But that's what we're in it for, is to help people. But we also want to make sure they don't get caught up in the wave, going too fast, doing things irresponsibly. So that's where we step in.
Absolutely.
We also had some new national housing reports that were launched from 2025. And I'm sure, if you're like me and on Facebook and things, you see, friends with realtors and we share all of our similar things, but there was a graphic that came out. Ultimately, did you know that graphic came out of nowhere, but the stats are still true?
Yes, I did see that. The graphic might have been fake, but the numbers were real.
Are pretty on point. But found some interesting stats about that. And 71% of all licensed agents in America sold 0 homes in 2025. Isn't that crazy? 0 homes.
I mean, were you
71%?
71%.
Yeah, that's being in the industry. Of course, we know that. But even that, we know that a large number of real estate agents don't sell a single unit all year. Yeah. But that number has surprised me even. That's a high number.
It is.
71%.
Yeah. No, and you have always heard that 20% of the people do 80% of the work.
Right.
That was, a stat that was shared with me early in my real estate career. And it's so very true that that is usually the way that falls. But,
and there's some things that can explain that, some nuances to why people get licenses, the property managers, people who become landlords and renters and that kind of thing. There's a lot of reasons people that get real estate licenses that really have no intention of actually performing the traditional real estate that you and I perform. So there's some explanation to that, but that's still a really high number to do zero deals with this. So conversely, to your point, the 80-20 rule is that only 7% of agents sold 10 or more, and only 3% of agents sold over 20 houses last year. Only 3%. And we're in that boat.
I know. Yeah. I was going to say, aren't you pretty proud?
I'm pretty proud. Yeah. I feel pretty good about that.
I know.
The top 3%,
Right.
And that's a national report, but the local numbers we have here in Kansas City are
very close,
single digits off of those same numbers. So what we see nationally is pretty common when you get into your bigger metropolitan areas. Very similar numbers. So I think the 80-20 rule does apply on the greater whole. And it's just, we make a joke that, like insurance agents or anybody else, like real estate agents, you shake a tree, 6 will fall out, right? It's kind of the common joke, but it doesn't mean all 6 are created equal. There's certainly a numbers game, and those that are repping out these statistics in a more favorable way certainly can provide what might seem like more knowledge, more experience, more recent testimonials as to how they handle their business, because they're doing it on a more frequent basis as compared to someone who's, got the license. They can do it, but they're probably not doing it.
And it's so funny because when you think about that, even breaking that down locally, like if we have, 4% of agents in Kansas City that are selling 20 or more homes, there's just over 13,000 agents in Kansas City. So you're talking about under 500 agents in our area that do most of the volume.
Sales,
but there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of folks that have a license for different different reasons. And maybe they're an administrator or an admin, or an assistant or something like that. You need to have a license to do those things. If you're a showing agent, or if you are, doing some type of support for a team or whatever that might look like, you need to have that license. So, there's, you're right. It is kind of skewed to a certain degree, but I'll still take that,
I'll take the top 3%.
I'll take the top. I'll take that.
That feels good. I'll settle with that. Yeah. So, but very cool stats coming out locally and nationally, just to kind of help us put perspective about how the real estate world is functioning, how we as realtors here locally in Kansas City are functioning, and what our volume is doing. And of course, we want to let our clients, let our audience know that, we are full time and we are in it to win it for our clients. And we take it very personally how that experience is felt by our clients, because we do this all day, every day.
Yeah.
It's not a once a year gig.
No, absolutely not. And I know I've been having a lot of conversations lately with people who, are thinking or kind of dipping their toe in the water to see what that temperature is. And if it's, good enough to get in. And, if you're thinking about what buying or selling in 2026 might look like, definitely reach out to myself or Justin and see how we might be able to serve you and put that plan in place for you to, move on to that next chapter for you, whether that's becoming a first-time homeowner, or maybe you need to move up. Maybe your family dynamic has changed and you need a different house. We can help you with that. But it all comes down to putting a plan in place for success. Yeah. So what does that look like? It varies for every person. So it all starts with a conversation. And I know Justin and I both would be happy to have that with no strings attached and kind of map that out as far as what that might look like for you.
Show up and serve. That's what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Jennifer, that rolls us right into our next segment. We're going to talk about why hiring a pro actually matters. Why, that pro status is what we, of course, like to carry. That's something we built our businesses on. That's how we continue to be highly referable, is because we do kind of carry that pro posture, into our appointments, into our conversations with our clients. Of course, I think that is what keeps us in front of a lot of people with that trust. So what does that really mean, though? What does hiring a pro really mean, and why does it matter? So I've got a few notes here. I'm going to have to refer to mine if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I think one of the first things that you brought up a second ago is we have to have systems for coaching and guidance. To go at it haphazardly would be a wild mistake for a professional to represent someone during the biggest asset purchase and or sale, that they've currently have in their life. And that's to go at it haphazardly without a lot of systems that can provide for clear guidance that the client knows how this experience is about to unfold would be, like you said, irresponsible. So I think that's not necessarily in terms of priority, but that's one of the main things is having systems for guidance and coaching. Number two is it protects clients' interest at all times. I think we use that fancy word fiduciary, right? That's protecting our clients. That makes me feel good when I say that multisyllabic word, but it's true, right? Is that we have to have their interest at the forefront of everything we do. So while we have to toe that line of win-win in these deals to keep them together, to get them from where we are to the closing table, we still have to do that while protecting our clients' interests. And we have to know what that is. What is our client's interests, not only on the contract and with their money, but what does it meet up with what their goals were? Does it put them out of bounds for their comfort level, on their budget, on the acquisition side of that, what does that look like for them? So we have to protect them. That's kind of the thing. Communicate well in all this stages, the good and the bad. We've had to have some tough conversations with our clients. What they don't see a lot of is that we have tough conversations with a cooperating agent that we work with, and we have to do that at a professional level that still says, hey, this is what my client needs. This is how we keep the deal together, but this is how it's going to have to go. But then sometimes we have to flex. We don't necessarily bend and break. But we have to flex with it a little bit, to carry that communication through. And we have to check with title companies. We have to check with lenders. We have to check with appraisers, inspectors, all those things we have to have those good communication skills with. And it's not just from our clients to ourselves. It's all the things, as you know.
Right.
So that's huge, I think. And then the last thing is we got to be able to pull from recent experiences, because we are in the market full time, because we are doing this. We have to be able to kind of say, hey, what's your feeling about this part of the process, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is normal. Let me tell you why it's normal, and normalize those feelings that they have along the way, because these are very stressful situations sometimes, right? We have to be able to coach them through it. And sometimes third-party testimonial allows us to go, hey, what you're feeling is normal. I've dealt with someone just like this, or an incident just like this recently, and I can tell you this is how it kind of shook out, right? How to plan for that.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
No, absolutely. And it's tough because, there's a lot of things that sometimes happen behind the scenes that our clients aren't aware of, and trying to work with that other co-op agent. And everyone has such different personalities and different ways that they run their real estate business. Being a pro might mean something different for everybody. And like I said, there's 13,000 realtors in Kansas City alone. And so everybody has a different way of doing that. They don't teach you those types of things when you go to real estate school. Those are things that you learn along the way from just experience and getting, the reps in. We talked just the other day at the office, about one of the resolutions I had written for one of my buyers. On a sewer line. And it was, I remember, Brett was involved in that conversation, and he was like, holy cow, I can't believe it. And it's like, you have a fiduciary, you have a responsibility as whichever side, this particular side I was representing a buyer. I am looking out for their best interests. So of course I'm going to write an ironclad resolution request to protect them in the event that there is no question about what the expectation is that we are asking for. And so, it's important that, you kind of, that you do that, and to remember that, we do this a lot. We do this every day. Our clients do not. And so, for me, I always tell my folks, I don't care how many houses we look at. I want to protect your time and be looking at things that truly meet the criteria that you've identified.
We're not just looking for fun.
We're not just looking for fun. I mean, I see houses all day, whatever they don't, but it's like, that's okay. We continue shopping until you find the one. Right. We are not salespeople. We are consultants, right. And we are, truly trying to help match or fulfill a need for our clients. Yeah. And so, and again, it's an emotional roller coaster. And so to be able to take some of that burden off of our clients so that they maybe aren't feeling as stressed, that's our job. That's what we, that's part of what we do. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, everybody starts in this business at some point. We were all new at some point, and someone gave us an opportunity, and, then someone else gave another opportunity. And then we were able to get those reps in and build our systems, build our processes through those experiences, good, bad, and sometimes those experiences come at a pretty hefty, hefty cost. Right. But, that's what's made us great. And that's what's made us such strong advocates for our clients, that they sing our praises and don't even think twice about referring us to those that they, know, like, and love. Yeah,
that's the best, because hey, they'll take good care of you.
Absolutely.
That's like the best testimony I can get from somebody who's like, hey, so-and-so is going to call you. Don't worry. I told them you're going to take great care of them.
Yeah.
Did it.
I know.
That's their version of saying that we're a pro.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, we do this all day, every day. They don't. So it's important to make sure that while we're having some high level conversations, it's not that they can't, it's that we have to bring it to a point that's relative for them.
Right.
And where they are in this process. And sometimes that's first time, sometimes that's seventh time. I just worked with somebody who had this is their seventh home that they've sold. And they said, the military family, he goes, hands down, best experience I've ever had, because he felt included, communicated to, protected the whole time, and had a very clear path of how it was going to unfold. So that was a huge compliment. Love that.
That's awesome. I
that's
love that.
Right there.
That is. That's absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's very cool. And you have another question about the next phase we have here.
I know. And so that's something that I saw a headline in, social media or somewhere, last week, that had a comment, if you will, that, are realtors overpaid?
Right.
And so we see that a lot. And I know that with a lot of the issues that came up with that lawsuit, back in 2024, where we are very transparent. Not that I wasn't really transparent before, but now there's a lot of safeguards, if you will, in place that are, now we're fully transparent.
Forced transparency, right?
I have a lot of my clients that are like, really? That's what you're, making? It's on the, on the real estate contract. And so, I obviously, do not think that I'm underpaid. My clients don't think that I'm overpaid,
right?
Not underpaid, overpaid. Right. No one thinks that. And so, to see that headline, I was a little bit shocked. And I think that there's such a common misconception, because a lot of it boiling down to reality TV, probably, that you see the Selling Sunset, or you see the $1 million listing LA or New York or whomever. You see, different things on TV that paint this picture that we're all driving G-Wagons and carrying Chanel bags with our Louis Vuittons. And that is absolutely not the reality here in Kansas City. We also, sell a different price point than they do in, on the coast. But what do you think about that? Do you think, for a second, that we are overpaid?
I don't think we're overpaid. No. And I think that, to your point, it's a little bit of a point of, naivety.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And that's not meant to be rude to someone who might think that. It's just that there's a lot that goes into what we do. And if we were to get paid hourly the other way around, that would
there is a whole, side of things that people want realtors to become hourly employees.
Right.
Could you imagine?
If we shine the light on that, that would look a whole lot different. And there would be another argument as to why that's not fair, you know? Right. But I think a lot of it is what you said. It's a misconception about what it is that we do, and that the opening of the doors and the driving of the cars and the taking people to lunches and that kind of stuff, that happens so infrequently compared to the other things that we do almost all day, every day. We have very vast, very, very detailed knowledge of our contracts, vast knowledge of negotiating skills, vast knowledge of networking skills. We've got a ton of resources we can provide our clients. We don't just get those. You're not handed a book saying, here's the plumber to call. Those are relationships that are formed. And so that value that we bring to the table, it not only gives our clients that system, the organization, but it also gives them the answers, the resources to a lot of things that don't come overnight, you know, and I would never, you know, I've never had a complaint, thankfully, about my commission from my clients. And so I think, to your point, your clients don't look at you and go, my gosh, this is what you're earning off of this thing. Like, they see the value you've given them. And my clients have always seen the value I've given them. But I could see if someone maybe wasn't so involved, maybe wasn't so, you know, pro, right? And they still got this $10,000 commission, and they, you know, kind of almost lost the deal along the way, or weren't communicating things. But the client looks down and goes, wait a second, I barely heard from you this whole time, and you got 10 grand out of this deal. I could see how that would, and unfortunately that happens. Like in the industry, you're going to have, you know, some people that maybe tarnish the industry's name or whatever. So I could see how, if the public is seeing headlines or has an experience, or maybe a friend that had an experience, they might all of a sudden look around, and, you know, it's much easier to spread the negativity than it is to spread the positivity, right?
No, so, absolutely.
You know, it's easy to let those headlines drive our mentality around commission being too high, or us being overpaid. But those that are in it and those that have been through quality transactions with their realtor might not have that same opinion.
No, I totally agree. And I think that it's all, you know, you're going back to what your value proposition is. You know, what do you bring to your clients? You know, experience, the relationships, the partnerships that you have with different vendors, and what you're willing to do to get in there and get down and dirty with them to get their, you know, to get their home, you know, ready to hit the market, or, you know, whatever. I mean, it's not just, you know, there was, I think, a time where you didn't have to do a whole lot to sell a house. You know, maybe you did just put the sign in the yard. And I think that you know, like for me, having been in this business before that, you know, time in our market, those systems of all, I've done the same thing, whether the house sold in, you know, 1 or 2 days versus it takes maybe 1 or 2 weeks. You know, the process behind that doesn't necessarily change. And so being able to be that, you know, that strong advocate and have your clients back, there's there's something to that. And I think that I know my clients all feel the love. They know the work that goes into it. They see, you know, and a lot of that's through, you know, communication. They know what I'm doing and that I'm working hard for them on whichever side of the
they never wonder, what is that Jennifer girl doing?
Where is she? I haven't heard from her in
I thought days. I had this girl, you know.
I saw that on her Facebook story. She was out getting coffee, but you know, what's she, you know, where's she at?
Yeah. But I could see how if people had that experience, how that might be a common, you know, hopefully.
Well, thankfully we are both iconic pros with our clients.
Yeah. So iconic.
High five.
we had to get that in.
I know. All right. So now we are going to dive into our Kansas City local spotlight. And we're going to talk about some of our favorite small businesses around town. This is where we're going to go into some border war house edition. But first, I want to talk about a fun upcoming event that's going to be at Union Station on February 21st. And that is the Kansas City Brew Fest. And this is a fan favorite event each year. At Union Station, there's live music, there's food. This year, there are going to be over 45 breweries, both domestic and some international microbreweries that are going to be there, and over 120 beers that you will be able to sample. So super fun event. Of course, we just talked a little bit earlier about how awesome the weather is going to be in February. However, this is an indoor event. So, go down. Absolutely. So be sure to visit www.kansascitybrewfest.com for additional info and tickets, but it's a fun event and something that you may want to check out. So
our beer friends are going to love that.
I know.
I'm not a beer guy, but I think I know about 10 guys that are.
Well, so many local breweries. So of course, our favorite, one of our favorites in North Kansas City, Cinder Block is going to be there. Of course, Brewery Boulevard is going to be there. Casey Beer Co. is going to be there. And then Stockyards is going to be there. So lots of local favorites, regional favorites, and then of course, other things nationally and internationally. Cool. So should be a fun event.
Quite the event to get out to. Now I've got a local spotlight. A small business one that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
One of my favorite local small businesses, and restaurants it's a hard business, right? Restaurants are hard. And I feel like Kansas City's got a great mix of a lot of restaurants, and some municipalities are a little bit harder on them, like Gladstone or Smithville is really hard on some of their, their small business startups, restaurants and things. But I got to give a little love to Summit Grill.
Oh, yeah. I love some Summit Grill.
I love some Summit Grill. Summit Grill, they're really cool. I just feel like they offer that perfect blend of it's elevated atmosphere, it's elevated food without being stuffy. You don't have to plan on blowing the budget when you go there. Great. They do steaks well. They do burgers well. They do bar food well. Great cocktails. And I feel like the place is it's always got a great vibe to it too. Yeah. I can go lunch. I can go dinner. I can go fancy. I can go casual. It doesn't matter. I feel like it's very versatile that way. So I like Summit Grill a lot. They got 3 locations. They've got Waldo, Lee Summit, and then they've got Gladstone. And they've also gotten so big that they've got a couple other things that they've launched too. They've got the 3rd Street Social.
3rd Street Social, yeah.
And then they've got there's a tavern that they have as well. I don't think I have the name of that tavern, but there's a tavern that they own as well. Yeah. And the fun fact is that family, it's a locally owned family.
Lee Summit.
Yeah, Lee Summit. And one of the owners, his son is Drew Locke, former Mizzou quarterback.
That's right
there. So the Locke family helped get this thing going. And it's just, I think it's really cool to have a local business that's blown up to that degree and they've not lost their service. I think it's just always a great, easy yes for me when it's about Summit Grill.
Yeah. And I would second that. Yeah. We hit them up on Restaurant Week.
We did. Yep.
And so, I enjoy some Summit Grill myself.
Yeah. So you can find out more about their locations, their menus at summitgrillkc.com. And Summit, keep on doing what you're doing because we love you.
Oh, I love that. Well, my small business shout out today is going to be a new little boutique that's in Parkville at 207 Main Street. And they've been down there for a couple of months now, but it is called Style and Stitch. Oh, and they are wonderful. And Patrick and his sister are the owners of the shop. And they have some wonderful home furnishings, great little gifts, holiday decor. I know I picked up some great items, around the holidays at Christmas time to add to my collection. And then they also have a huge selection of Pickwick candles, which we all know how much I love Pickwick candles. Those are awesome. Hands down my favorite, also a locally owned company. But Style and Stitch has their own signature scent, which is a very sophisticated, great smell that you kind of want your home to kind of feel like. So I highly recommend that. Stop in. Say hi to Patrick. Let him know I sent you, but they are wonderful. And actually right now, they're having a huge furniture sale where all their furniture is 20% off, I think through the beginning of March. So if you're in,
my wife is listening. You don't,
Christina,
go
there, Christina. But it's just such a fun little store. Cool. So I really like them. So definitely check them out. So
that's a good spot.
Yeah.
I'll have to swing by and get one of those Pickwicks. Those are amazing candles.
Pickwicks they're the best.
Yeah, they're great.
They're the best. That's a story for another day as far as that goes. Yeah, so, cool. All right. Well, let's get into some border wars. This isn't as fun because we're both from Missouri. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a Kansas isn't Jayhawks, but I feel like I'm a Kansas girl in heart. Like I feel like I should have been like, I should live in Prairie Village. Personally.
I think so. Manhattan.
I feel like that maybe
and all those things.
Yeah. So, but this is Border Wars House Edition. Mm-hmm. So we're going to kind of talk about, this kind of goes into a little bit of market information. And people say all the time to me, if there's a difference between living on the Kansas side or the Missouri side, what does that look like? And when we talk about affordability, we've, I think, always said that, it is more affordable to live on the Missouri side. And these examples that we're going to give you is a testament of that. So we're going to pop up and show pictures of a couple of houses so that you guys have a visual here and can see them. But we are looking at 2 homes, and these are basically identical homes. One is in Parkville, one is in Olathe. So we'll talk about the Missouri version first. So this is in the Parkville neighborhood of Thousand Oaks. It is a Perry 2 floor plan built by Integrity Home Builders. I have several clients living in either a Perry or a Perry 2 in 3 or 4 different neighborhoods.
Very popular floor plan, right?
Yeah. Funny story about this one. Maybe I'll share it. Maybe I won't. So this is a 2-story floor plan. It is 2,872 square feet. It is a 4-bed, 3.5 bath, 3-car garage with an unfinished walkout basement. Thousand Oaks has an annual HOA of $895, which includes clubhouse, community pool, pickleball, and tennis courts, and of course, trails. Annual taxes for that house is $10,467. And the price of that home, $687,000.
Right. Solid.
It's twin, so to speak, on the Kansas side is in Cedar Creek, which is in Olathe, Kansas, K7, K10 area over in Valley Ridge. This is a McKenna built by Gabriel Homes. And I actually had the pleasure of selling one of these a few years ago. And it's a wonderful floor plan. Great builder, great floor plan. It almost the exact same square footage, 2,826 square feet, 4-bed, 3.5 bath, 3-car garage, unfinished walkout basement. HOA dues, $1,887 a month.
Double.
Annual taxes, $11,431, and a sales price of $790.
Okay.
And these are homes that have very similar finishes, very similar amenities within their neighborhood, very similar, these are same new construction, same age, same everything. So we are looking at an HOA that's $1,000 more a year. And more than $100,000 difference in sales price. Taxes are, higher, but not crazy. Not crazy. But but
you're talking about 40 minutes across town, basically in the metro area. We're talking about 40 minutes.
40 minutes. Yeah.
From one.
Well, gosh, I mean, maybe not even that because you're right there on, between Thousand Oaks and K7. I mean, you just a jaunt right down 435.
Yeah. And you're just talking about location, right?
Location.
And while affordability is a little bit better on the Missouri side, Kansas has the bragging rights of having a lot more retail and a lot more of the corporate woods and a lot more of the things that Kansas kind of flexes its muscle on, right? So by going in that direction and going in that higher, comparative property, you got a little more access to things that people might find valuable. But if affordability is the value point, then Missouri might be the better shot, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about what's best for our clients, our folks. But this is a good example of exactly how a 25-minute or so difference across the state lines can really drive one way or the other. Yeah. Wow. That's a great exercise.
That is a great exercise. You want to know something else real quick?
Sure.
I had someone build a Perry 2 in Thousand Oaks back in 2018. And I just want to say that the price had a 4 in front of it.
Not a 687, had a 4. That's our value for That's what the market's done the last, 8 years.
Right.
Yeah. That's wild.
I know.
That's a good one.
They love the appreciation their homes had.
Oh yeah. They're doing fine. They're doing fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that was new construction.
Okay,
so now we can do resale.
Okay. Let's do it.
Let's do resale. Kansas, Missouri. Border war resale action.
Okay.
All right.
I love it.
So we're going to look at 2 more houses. These are homes that have been previously owned and are now, they've been bought or sold a couple times over now. And we've got one in Gladstone, Missouri. And that's starting on the Missouri side.
Yep.
It's a ranch floor plan built in 1955 with 1,248 square feet on the main level and a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage and a partially finished basement. Home features 2 fireplaces, hardwood floors, and lots of updates. feel like I've been in this house before or a lot like this.
That's like before. Almost every other house in Gladstone right now.
Sounds really familiar right now. I think I've been in that one. And then we're going to compare that with one that's very similar to your point on the Olathe side. So same thing, ranch floor plan, built in 1968, 1,100 square feet, all yada, 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 all the same, 3-bed, 2-car, all that good stuff.
Yep.
The Gladstone house had no HOA.
No HOA.
Okay. Neither did the Olathe house. So that's kind of cool. We do have clients that look for the no HOA thing, every now and then. That's kind of I've come across that more lately.
I know.
Annual taxes on Missouri, $2,452. In Olathe, $3,358. So about $1,000 more a year. Purchase price in Missouri, $285. Purchase price in Kansas, $315.
Okay.
So we're working.
So we got a $30,000 swing.
$30,000 swing, right? So, still, again, that priority conversation, location and value around Olathe area is a little bit different than that of Gladstone, but affordability kind of lends itself to the Missouri side again.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay. So if you don't have necessarily a preference, you aren't tied, but affordability is important to you and you're trying to get the most bang for your buck in your next purchase, then, you might consider the Missouri side.
Sure. Yeah. We have conversations with clients all the time. We buy and sell for our clients on both sides of the state lines. And so, it's a great conversation to have, especially when you're kind of going through that initial, where do you want to be? What kind of school district do you want to be in? Do you have are you locked in? Are you flexible? And then what their priority is, then we can go, okay, we don't steer them, but we can kind of paint the picture of, okay, which might be the better entry point for you.
Absolutely.
Kind of where we're going for the next step even.
Absolutely. Well, that was cool. That was very interesting.
Hey, Kansas versus Missouri. It's always a fun battle.
It is.
We love those conversations.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Jennifer, we're going to jump into some fun little hot takes here.
Okay, let's do it.
Hot takes, and we have rapid fire. We're going to get into it a little bit. All right. So hot take number 1.
Okay.
Move-in ready is not overrated. Most buyers do want clean and functional. So you hear that sometimes. People are like, "Oh, move-in ready is overrated." No, it is not overrated.
It is not. I agree with
those
that.
clean properties and move-in ones. Those are the ones we talked about earlier. Those are moving quick.
Yep.
So sellers should take note. Get your stuff ready. Okay?
Absolutely.
Price high and test the market is one of the most expensive mistakes that sellers can make.
Yes,
I would agree. That is a very expensive mistake, is to try and test it out. Why?
I know. I was shaking my head to no.
Don't
do that. Yeah. Because that is not a great strategy. I guess it also depends on finding that seller's why.
Sure.
If they have time, maybe it is in something that you could test, but typically most sellers want to, there's a reason that they're selling and pricing it correctly and not waiting for the market to correct that is always a better option.
I've tried the whole load it and float it thing, load the price, float it out there, see what happens. And I can't recall a time it went well. The times where I was able to kind of give a little more strategic pricing, right out the door it goes.
Absolutely.
So, love that. Internet interest rates matter less than lifestyle timing. So
interest rates matter
less than lifestyle timing. Yeah, I think lifestyle timing, is this the right thing for you?
Absolutely.
Matters more than what the interest rate may or may not be in that moment.
Yeah.
Because that changes a lot.
Well, and interest rates are not bad right now.
No.
And we've talked about this before. Buyers don't know any different right now. First time home buyers were not in the market or didn't even know what a 3
when it was 2 meant.
You know what I mean? I mean, they weren't even in this market then. And so it's better than it was when it was 8, or pushing 8 a couple of years ago. So absolutely.
Yeah, lifestyle matters. Let's measure your why, what that thing is.
Absolutely.
We can always worry about the rates and budget that in.
Absolutely. For sure.
Buying slightly smaller home in a better location is almost always a smarter move.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's a strong pro play right there. A slightly smaller home in a better location. Because location.
Well, we talked about that earlier too. Right? I mean, location matters. I mean, right now, if your location is selling homes, if you are in a good location, you're moving.
Yeah, so. And I've sold a couple larger homes in the not so popular areas, and they do take a while because your buyer pool is much smaller.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to have someone who can afford that big house, want that big house, but then also be maybe in an irregular area.
But there's going to be times where the smaller house is not going to be an option for people. I mean, and that's just the reality of it. But if you can make that work, then that's always a smarter move.
Right. Yeah. Cool. And then Zillow is a great starting point, but it is a terrible final answer. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
I think we all agree about that.
Yes,
one. Thank you, Zillow, for being what you are.
You know, and I always tell buyers all the time, you know, it's okay to get onto Zillow, you know, kind of get your palate wet, kind of see what's out there. But once we're serious, we need to get off and we need to, you know, stick with the portal and go that route. But it is good to kind of see, you know, what the market is yielding right now.
Yeah, I always tell my buyers, it's like Zillow is like a cool movie trailer. It kind of shows you what it's about, but it doesn't tell the whole story and it's missing some details. So when we get in our agent portals, we give you all the details. We get the truth. We get to, you know, do that actual window shopping there because there's actual raw data.
Yeah.
You know, so thank you, Zillow, but we'll take it from there.
That's right. That's right. All right. Now we're going to move into some rapid fire, overrated, underrated. Okay. Right. So open concept floor plans, underrated, overrated.
Underrated.
Why do you say that?
Open concept?
Yeah.
Man, you got the people that I work with a lot. We love to be able to kind of have that walk in and you can, from the front door to the back door, from the kitchen to the living room, know what's going on, knowing who's where. You know, we've done the opposite a couple of times. Those older homes that have that more segmented floor plan.
Yeah.
If you're in the kitchen, you can't tell what's happening in the living room, right? So, you know, we had that conversation, and that's usually an aha moment for my new buyers where they go, I never would have thought about that. So yeah definitely underrated to have the open floor plan.
All right. White kitchens.
Ooh, I think they're overrated.
I think they're overrated right now,
I think they're overrated. We've seen so many of them.
So many.
And B, you see all the dirt. You see all the dirt. Well, we're clean people, but I mean, it's like screaming at you if it's all white.
Yeah. You know, there's some nice, you know, warm white trends that are out there right now. Even some accent colors that are going in. And gray, some of the, you know, that white oak is just a sharp, you know, a sharp contrast too. So yeah, I'm going to go with overrated.
Is cool, but yeah, overrated, I'll say.
What do you think about home warranties?
Home warranties. That's a tough one.
I know.
That's a tough one. That's kind of a case by case scenario. I'll say they're overrated.
Okay.
But I won't say I don't use them often for my buyers because it does give you a little sense of security that if something fails inside that first year, it does feel good to have someone you can call and go, hey, this thing, I need your help with this thing. And the seller's paid for it.
I'm going to go underrated. I'm going to go underrated. And I think that it's such a added value for a buyer, especially a first-time home buyer who may not know what unexpected things they need to plan for. And so whether you get a seller to provide that home warranty cost for you that first year, or you pay for it, you know, there's, you know, I use a couple of different home warranty companies, but the one I have closing Friday, $725. And it covers, you know, plumbing, electrical, heating, cooling, your appliances, with $100 deductible. So if that hot water heater goes out next week, you know, they pay their $100 deductible, and guess what? They're covered because knowing that it worked at the time of inspection. I mean, it wasn't something that wasn't working. And then they can continue that coverage, you know, at their expense going forward. So I think it's especially for a first time home buyer, I think it's underrated. I think it's something that helps you plan for the unexpected if you don't have that, you know, nest egg. Cause I mean, you know, you had your HVAC go
11,000.
Yep. You had your HVAC go out and that was obviously not planning for that. It was unexpected. And so, if you would have had a home warranty, then, you know, that might have covered that. And then, you know, you just kind of have that added peace of mind, if you will.
Well, I heard you say something in there real quick, and that is that the home and warranty companies we work with, if I'm just talking about those 2 or 3 that we trust, I'll say they're underrated. But I think on the grander scale of things, there's a lot of home warranty companies out there that maybe aren't as, you know, client favored, you know, they're a little more difficult to work with. Like a lot of insurances can be absolutely a little bit of a headache, right? I think that can be the mistrust I think that is out there. And I would say that's the case with a lot of the other home warranty companies, but ours we use are pretty solid. I'll give you that. Yeah.
All right. Barn doors.
I'll go back to overrated.
Yep.
I get why they were there. I understand the farmhousey thing and the making use of space thing and decorating a wall for a little privacy thing, but I think we're done. You know, time to be done with those. We can figure out. We can refigure that out.
I agree.
Pocket doors are great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Staging a home for sale.
Underrated.
Very much so.
Very much underrated. Sellers.
It's a non-negotiable for me.
It's a non-negotiable for her. I try to make it as close to that as I can, but I think that really does make or break a listing process.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We could, that's a whole nother conversation. I probably shouldn't get on that soapbox right now.
Underrated.
Yeah. Zillow estimates, the Zestimate.
Overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this changed recently, but for the longest time on Zillow's website, they even quoted their Kansas City market was a 1 out of 5 star accuracy.
Yeah.
That's admitting that they don't quite have this place dialed in. The metro, like a lot of metros, has a lot of pockets and a lot of varying prices all over the pockets that we have, the different towns and things we have inside of the metro area, which I think could skew the numbers a bit. But that being said, it's wildly inconsistent.
Yeah, very much
wildly
so.
Inconsistent.
Solar panels.
Oh. I'll probably go with the masses here and say overrated. But I see value in it. I've sold a couple houses with them, and my sellers enjoyed those while they had them, and the buyers got a big benefit out of it, mostly because the seller paid off the balance
right
when they sold the house. That's the catch.
That is the catch.
If they don't do that, it's costly. It's a very big headache potentially for the buyer.
Yeah. And I think that it goes back to like, where are they located on the house too? Because sometimes, when they're on the back of the house and they're not an eyesore, so to speak, people are going to go aesthetically with what's pleasing. And when you have solar panels that are in a place that, takes away from that.
House I just sold not too long ago in the summer of 2025, the buyer bought the house and she would look forward to never having an electrical bill.
Yeah.
And she got a ton of green credits. And so she was able to, as a single mom who kind of moved into that house and kind of starting over in life, to take that $200, $250 a month off her bill for the foreseeable ever. Was a huge deal. And the seller paid off his balance at the closing. So that was a bonus, I think, in that situation. So a little bit circumstantial, but grossly, I would say on the masses, overrated.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Last one, hardscape.
Underrated.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Underrated because hardscaping is it's more expensive on the front side, but it's like basically hands off. You get a chance to just enjoy whatever that does for your property, that value for the foreseeable future with very little maintenance cost.
And I agree with that. But what do you say when Mr. Seller says, Justin, I have paid $80,000 for this hardscape in my barbecue and my home is worth $80,000 more? Yeah.
I'd say you're never going to get every dollar back on that penny. We're not going to get dollar for dollar on that. And hopefully someone explained you for that, but I would tell Mr. Seller, you did that because you thought that was going to help you enjoy your home.
Absolutely.
And someone else will too, but maybe not to the same value degree that you paid $80,000 for.
Yeah.
Maybe more like 30 on your 80. How about that?
Yeah. No, I love, hardscape does go a long way. It's very nice. So awesome. That was fun.
We made it fast too.
I know. Yeah, rapid fire.
We tend to talk a lot. So that was a good rapid fire.
All right. In this segment, we are going to talk about our listener questions that were submitted this month. That's right. So Laura from Kansas City wrote in this month and said, hey, Jennifer, we are thinking about buying this year. Is it better to wait and save more for a down payment or buy now with less and refinance later? So,
question.
Justin, what do you think about that?
I think it's going to be, of course, I want to find out more about what their priorities are. Where are they coming from? What's their priority on that? But I think buy now gets ahead of the competition curve we've got coming on in that spring. The inventory is still good enough right now. We've got good enough options. Buying now kind of gets ahead of that competitive wave that we know happens in the spring. And then we can always worry about refinancing things later if they've got the budget to go ahead and take care of their closing costs and things that go into, what it would take to buy right now.
Absolutely. And I know for me, I have a buyer that had a very similar question when we started their search the end of last year. And they had money saved for a down payment. And then when they spoke to their lender about what their financing options were, he actually was to encourage them to put less down and hold some of that cash back because, well, one, one, cash is king. And two, you don't want to completely deplete your nest egg in the event that there is something unexpected that comes up. You want to have a little bit of reserve there. So buying now, again, we talked in an earlier episode about the cost of waiting, and there is going to be a big cost of waiting should people maybe push that out 6 months. If we're talking strictly down payment, let us connect you with one of our lenders. Justin and I both have wonderful lenders that we work with, and they can look at your overall financial picture and then consult you on what might be the best option for you to consider. So
maybe they can qualify for one of those loan programs that helps with down payment assistance, and that would really offset a lot of that upfront cost and then keep that cash positive in their pocket.
Absolutely. There's, and one of my lenders, I'll give a shout out to Colby at Community America. Colby has done a lot of the 100% financing options for my first time home buyers. And it's so funny because I have clients that are closing soon that, they had, I think 5-10% to put down on their house. And Colby's like, it really only makes less than a $200 difference by going 100% down.
Right.
Keep that cash. Yeah. And if you can afford that. And the beautiful thing with that is not only did they, it worked out well for them. The house appraised for $10,000 more than they paid for it. So they just got 5% equity.
Right.
Without putting any money down. So it's a wonderful thing. And again, talk to your lender, see what makes sense for you, but it's definitely, I think, a buy now scenario in most situations.
I agree. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. That's awesome. And then I had a nice question from Kim from Riverside. And she says, "Hey, Justin, I'm curious about what a great realtor does that maybe most clients don't see."
Oh my goodness.
That hidden value. We touched a little bit on this earlier, but we can circle back to it because I think there's a lot of value that we can talk about that is not always seen by the general public. The HGTV people think that the realtors do opening doors and driving fancy cars. What do you think?
There's so much behind the scenes. And in fact, I have a young lady shadowing me this week who thinks she might want to become a realtor. And so she's seen some of the behind the scenes things and has said, I had no idea you guys did this. And some of it is, I have a seller right now who we're getting ready. Their house goes on the market next week and she's feeling a little overwhelmed. We had photos and videos of that listing today, and she just, needed some extra help, needed some extra support in getting things ready for the photos. And you just show up and you do that.
Sure.
This is, humans helping humans, and they're going through, we talked about this. They don't do this every single day. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of stress. It's overwhelming. They just need to know that you're there for them. And so maybe that means you push up your sleeves and you scrub, a bathtub, or you help take trash out for them, or you just are there to listen to them.
Cry in the driveway.
Maybe they just need a good hug, and you're there for that. And that's, those are some of the things that you do, or maybe, maybe there's just there's so many things. I could go on and on. What do you,
Yeah, you nailed it. But I think one of the things that a great realtor does a ton of work you never see because you did something that probably, if you didn't do that work, something probably went wrong. Right. We've seen one of the biggest compliments we can have is that went so smooth because we did so much behind the scenes work, talking to the cooperative agents, talking to the lenders, talking to the appraisers, that we got ahead of any problem before it became a problem.
Yeah.
And if we ever had to bring a problem to our client's table, it was only because we did all the due diligence behind the scenes. We said, okay, before I call Bob, I'm going to talk to the problem, find the contingency, and then go, hey, Bob, this is what's going on. Bob, we got either A or B. And if we choose A, this is where we go. If we choose B, this is what could happen, just so that we're on the same page. But Bob would rather have that conversation than go, oh, it's about to blow up, dude. I'll call you back in 2 days. Like that's a crazy way to handle business. So I think when they know that you've got their best interest at heart and you're going all out for them, a lot of times it's stuff they never know even happened.
Yeah. And I think just really being that calm. Mm-hmm. I never bring emotion in with my clients. I never, even if I've got a co-op agent that has, just totally got me flustered, which happens from time to time. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you and I vent to each other quite a bit about a lot of those situations. Right. I'm never going to pull my client into that. I, don't want them to feel that they're going through enough. Sure. I don't need to add to that. And a lot of times those things work themselves out and they never even, know that that's something, that was going on behind the scenes, or you tell them at the end once it's all said and done. And, but yeah.
Well, I think as the pro who's in the middle doing this, all the behind the scenes work, we're the calm in the storm, right? We're the eye of the storm, the tornado circling around. There's all these things, but we got to tell our client, I've got this. It's okay. This is what's happening, but this doesn't mean it's unique to just you. This happens in these things. Yeah. And this has happened before. This is how we're going to navigate this right now. We're going to come out of this, but we just got to know what the decisions are, And so we just take it slow when everyone else is going fast, especially when we had that crazy market in 2021 and all that stuff. Everything was on fire, so everyone was running around like crazy. And I was like, we're going to take a breath and we're just going to make sure we know what we're getting ourselves into here. Absolutely. And I think they feel that and appreciate that. So I think that's our quality answer for Miss Kim.
Yes.
You got to work with a pro who's able to stay calm and communicate and do all that behind the scenes work so it never really lands on your plate.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Good job.
Cool.
All right. So as we move into our final key, Justin, I am a little blown away by your sports analysis of the Super Bowl. I mean, I feel like you could be the next Fox Sports analyst on the panel, you know?
Better than Tony Romo?
Oh, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, right. No, for sure.
All right.
For sure. I mean, you brought your A game on there. Here, I thought I was impressed by the research I did, but
yeah, and I kept my cool too. I could have gone even more way into
Something
it,
doesn't surprise me.
I settled on the prop, so thanks for the
respect. That was a great prop. Yeah, I love it.
Steal from my son's PlayStation collection there and give it the truth. But Seahawks for the win.
Seahawks for the win.
That's awesome. And I found out, we do have a really cool housing border war here, Kansas, Missouri. That was a cool exercise to be able to kind of review the location versus value versus affordability. That whole conversation, we have that with our clients on what seems like daily basis, in our world. So overall, great episode. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was really good.
A lot of fun. We learned a lot about each other. We learned we're rooting for the same team. So now we can hopefully come to the office on Monday and high five that our Seahawks won.
That's right.
And hopefully that's the case. And if the Patriots win, then I don't know how I'll feel about that.
I may have to cancel our team meeting on Monday. And
don't you dare. You can't do that. It's not that big. It's not that serious. So yeah, well, you guys have been great. Thank you so much for staying. If you're still here, we love that you stayed on for us. Like, follow, subscribe. If you have a vote in Super Bowl, drop a comment down below.
That's right.
If you have a vote about the border war, Kansas versus Missouri housing, leave a comment down below. We'd love to know what you're thinking about anything you saw today. If you have any questions for us, hit us up on our YouTube channel. Our DMs are open, but also the comments channel is open as well. And we look forward to talking to you.
That's right. Thank you.
All right, so I've got to put my name in the hat to be the next Fox biggest analyst out there. I know Tony Romo used to be good, but he kind of lost it. He tries to predict every single play that comes up the next time. He's more busy calling about the play he's going to guess that's going to happen, trying to be Captain Guess It Right, than he is actually telling you what's going on the dang field. I mean, Jim, and then he's like, oh, Patrick Mahomes. He uses Patrick Mahomes' voice even when he's not in the game. He refers to Josh Allen as Patrick Mahomes, and then he's always talking to Jim. Where the lights go?